Okay, folks, we've returned. Let's go ahead and start case number 30. This is the last one in Coyote Gorge. Thanks to these three for helping me out. Sylvia, Vivian, and Daniela. How the East was won. It's time to put an end to Vittorio Capesci. Vittorio Capesci, we know all about your money schemes and murderous ways. You must have known your greed would catch up to you at some point. Ha, you think that this is my end? In this world there's two kinds of people. Those with loaded guns and those who dig graves. And we didn't bring our shovels. Matthew, are you okay? Vittorio and his goons got away. We need to track them down. You're right. We know Vittorio has a hacienda somewhere in the desert. We need to find it, and fast. Let's go back to the airship. Matthew, we've been combing the desert for hours, and there's still no sign of Vittorio's hacienda. I think we managed to round up all of his goons, at least. Rose is trying to make them talk. But every second we spend looking for Vittorio gives him a better chance at escaping. We need to find this hacienda now. Matthew, one of the goons talked. I know exactly where the hacienda is. Charlie's got the coordinates. Finally! Matthew, it's time we go to the wolf's lair. Matthew, we finally found Vittorio's hacienda. Let's hope he is still in the vicinity. This place is gigantic. There's even a chapel on the grounds. Finding Vittorio isn't going to be easy. At least you know his goons should be no trouble. They're all in our custody. Matthew, are you hearing this? You're right. The door to the chapel is open. Let's start there. But be cautious. It's Capesci. Oh, there's a rat. Matthew, Vittorio's dead! Is that a cactus in his mouth? Clearly he didn't die from that wound you inflicted upon him in the showdown. Which means someone killed him in the time it took us to get here. If only we found this place earlier, maybe... No, you're right. There's no point in dwelling on this. We need to find Vittorio's killer. Vittorio may have been a criminal, but no one can be judge, jury, and executioner. Senior Trooper Matthew, what are you doing on our property? Papa? Papa? Oh God, Papa, what happened? Miss Capesci, you mustn't stay here. Why don't you wait outside? Senior Trooper Matthew will need to speak with you. Matthew, what a turn of events. We rushed here to catch Vittorio after he and his gang attacked our team. And now we find ourselves investigating his murder. Whoever killed him, we need to catch them. And maybe the fated text in that Bible could give us our first lead. I agree. Let's dust it up. And I need to collect some stars. Sit tight, folks. Okay, I have myself 9 stars. And why don't we talk to Giulietta Capesci first? I can't believe Papa is dead. Miss Capesci, do you have any idea who might have killed your father? No, but I had seen this coming. All of this gang fighting, all of this violence and hatred, this was bound to happen. And for what? Nothing. Some lose their lives and the survivors lose their loved ones. Were you on the grounds earlier when the murder happened? Papa asked us not to leave the house until he came back from his argument with you, and I didn't see or hear anything. Very well. We understand this is a difficult time, but please don't leave the property. We may have need of you again. Let's get to the Bible now. Marvin Ferrari. Matthew, the markings you revealed in this Bible include the name Marvin Ferrari and what appears to be a prayer schedule. I wasn't of the impression that Vittorio was very religious. I agree, we must attempt to locate this Marvin fellow. He may be a suspect. And let's see what Marvin Ferrari has to say. Hey, youths, this is private property. Senior Trooper Matthew and I came to arrest Vittorio Capesci, but due to a change in circumstances, our mission has become investigating his murder. The boss is dead? How can that be? I just finished securing the perimeter. I didn't even know he was back. Have you worked security for Vittorio long? Well, if the boss is dead, I guess I may as well talk. We was kids together, Viti and me. We had another friend, Ludovico, and people called us Vinny, Viti, Vit, and Vici. We was like fratelli. Vici died years ago. Man was an artist, burned to death when he tried to build a tower of Pisa out of matches. After that, it was just Viti and me. But now you're telling me that he too is dead. The murder came as quite a shock to us too, but we have every intention of finding the culprit. I hope you do, but you'd better not get too close to the house. Just because the boss is dead don't mean you can poke your nose in his business. Did that scoundrel really threaten us, Matthew? What cheek! We will not be bullied. Good idea. This garden is filled with cacti, the perfect place to continue our investigation. Gardening supplies. Tobacco box and avocados. That tobacco box is like a promising clue, Matthew. If you can get it open, it may lead us to another suspect. And I agree. There could be something in that basket of gardening supplies to help us get to the root of this matter. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything done. I'm pretty sure I have enough stars. QKV. X1H. 3TJ. Ah, missed the 9. Oh well. This tobacco box has Samus O'Neill's name inscribed in its lid. We know Mr. O'Neill is in love with Giulietta Capesci, but surely he wouldn't be so bold as to come to her father's house. I agree. We need to find Mr. O'Neill, and fast. Let's see what Samus has to say. Mr. O'Neill, there you are. Vittorio Capesci was murdered, and... Vittorio was murdered? Oh no! What am I gonna do? We're more interested in what you did. We found your tobacco box in Vittorio's garden. What were you doing there? I know it looks suspicious. I just couldn't stand to be away from Giulietta anymore. I've been sleeping in the desert around the hacienda. In the mornings, I perch on the rocks nearby to catch glimpses of her as she goes about her day. It's as close to her as I can get for now. But with Vittorio's death, security will be increased. If they catch me around here, the Italians will surely have my hide. Well, don't go running away just yet, Mr. O'Neill. This investigation is ongoing, and we may need to speak with you again. There we go. A torn cloth. Indeed, Matthew, that torn burlap you found under the gardening supplies is suspicious. There's even a spot of blood on it. We ought to reassemble the pieces of this cloth straight away. This case means we are halfway through this district. This entire case. The mysteries of the past, I should say. There is definitely blood on this burlap sheet. Let's get it to Viola for analysis. She's got a knack for finding clues hidden on clues. Three hours. I'll see you guys when that's done. Alright folks, we have returned. Let's get the results of the torn cloth first. Matthew, what a clue you brought me. This burlap sheet tells such a story. Splendid. Tell us the story. The blood on the sheet came from Vittorio's mouth. And do you see the faint outline on the fabric? This was left by his body. By his body? But how is that possible? It was left on the sheet when the killer used to drag Vittorio's body from the garden to the chapel. Using the sheet would make it far easier to move a body of this size. Even I could have done it. So Vittorio was killed in the garden, but why would the killer then go to the trouble of moving his body to the chapel? Remorse? Possibly. It was their downfall, however. I found stains on two corners of the sheet, the very ones the killer would have held while dragging the body. The stains the killer left turned out to be a residue of dried salted beef, or as it is more commonly known, beef jerky. So their problem with Vittorio wasn't the only beef our murderer had. I'll add this to their profile, Matthew.
He used to fix the broken toys. That was his real passion. So he goes around the kids. And he had quite a doll collection. He loved showing it to them. He inherited them from his mother, Terry, Colgan's legacy. We need to talk to Terry.
Matthew, Vittorio's body was a treat. I'd never seen a cactus used as a murder weapon before. So the cactus really was what killed him? How gruesome. Well, I also found contusions on his arms and chest, obvious signs of a fight with his killer. But the cactus got shoved into his mouth, cutting deeply into his tongue and gums. Vittorio died, choking on his own blood. Now, I had a look at the piece of cactus that was still in his mouth, and among the needles, I found some horse hairs. This tells us that your killer was wearing riding gloves when they grabbed the cactus, and the horse hairs were on the gloves, which means they ride horses.
Paper's 3 months old.
Matthew, we are on the lookout for a murderous horse rider. I will not lie, I hope their fearsome quadruped companion will not be with them.
That's it over here. Yeah, just looked like a little dog.
Matthew, I still can't believe you came to arrest Vittorio and are now investigating his murder instead. Samus and Gioletta's star-crossed romance puts them in prime position as suspects. Could this love have driven either of them to murder? Most frustratingly, the house itself is barred to us, thanks to that obstinate Marvin Ferrari. He's not the only one with the key. Miss Capesci, what are you doing here? I came here to offer you my help, Senior Trooper Matthew. I can sneak you into my father's house. Ooh. Is this a red herring, or is this actual? We'll find out in Chapter 2. See you then. Well, it seems I wasn't credited with an OJ, so we'll go on to Chapter 2 as is. Matthew, if only Vittorio had let us arrest him, we wouldn't be in this mess, investigating his murder. It is imperative that we search inside the house, but Vittorio's goon has made it perfectly clear he won't let us in. He's not the only one with the key. Miss Capesci, Senior Trooper Matthew, I can get you inside the house. Oh, really? But pray, why would you help us? Because I want Papa's killer to be found. I will not rest until they've been caught. I can sneak you into the house, but we must hurry while Marvin is still out on his rounds. Matthew, you heard her. To the hacienda.
There is. Because TripAdvisor now compares prices from 200 booking sites.
Has Gioletta gone to our side? We will see.
TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
Alright, listen up. Out on that field today, you will be ready for anything. And I want you to always remember, this is the greatest team you will ever be part of. When they're asked, what did you do to make a difference in the world? They can say, I became a soldier.
Pink paddle.
Food starts with you. Great tasting whole grains. Pleased with
The envelope again. Ah, there it is.
This Thursday through Sunday at Kohl's, take an extra 20% off. A great last-minute gift for your dad. Like men's golf apparel starting at $17.50.
So this is where Vittorio did his plotting. We've been tracking him for a long time. It's a strange feeling to finally be here. And what have you found, Matthew? This paddle is a strange object. What do you suppose it's for? Making pizza? Recovering that faded inscription on its face might tell us what it's for. Or even better, give us a new suspect. And it appears this boot was hastily removed and left here in the middle of the room. The dirt on it looks fresh. We should take a sample of it. This pile of laundry is strangely placed. Perhaps it was left by the same person as the boots. In any case, they have some bad habits to break. I agree with you, Matthew. It would be good to examine the contents of this pile for possible clues. Leave no pillow unturned.
Dolls are idealized representations of men. Pure, perfect, and sexless. Terry Jessup is like a child. Even dolls have
Go ahead and take care of everything.
grown man has fantasies of sex. And he feels guilty about being attracted to children, and so he turns them into dolls, which works for a while.
So he gives in, has sex with the doll. Then it's not a doll anymore, so he kills him.
Mustache. Yeah, out of curiosity. But then when he finds a new playmate, he just discards the last one.
Dirt? Excellent. Let's put the dirt you collected from that boot under the microscope and see what it tells us.
Did you get anything on Jessup?
String said that she was intermittently abusive and seductive. Like racist serial killer. I talked to a couple of Jessup's neighbors who stressed that his mother's death a year ago pushed him over the edge. Became reclusive and explosive.
Just got off in CSU. No forensic evidence, either Nina or Susie were in Jessup's apartment. To keep the girls prisoner, Jessup would need privacy and isolation.
Snatch both girls in the hood, dump Susie back there. He's following a pattern. Nina's got to be nearby. Check this out.
There we go.
Moving in.
Final doll collection. Fibers came from a man of Charlotte.
4. Sawdust and peanut shells. Mixed in with the dirt you collected from the boot were sawdust and peanut shell particles, and the whole sample contained traces of whiskey. Matthew, did you say peanuts? Get this out of my lab! Viola, what is the matter? I am violently allergic to peanuts. I have been all my life. I am very sorry, my dear Viola. We shall get them out of here straight away. Wait, before you leave, that sample you found, all its components are things one would find on the floor of a saloon. So whoever dropped this boot recently came back from Providence Town. Franca Capecci was in town for her husband's trial, was she not? Now that Franca's back, let us have a talk with her, Matthew. Who would have guessed that Viola would be allergic to, peanuts? I certainly wouldn't. Caspita! What are you doing in my house, Senior Trooper Matthew? We happen to be investigating the murder of your husband. Shall we extend our condolences? You do not seem very affected. Che Condoglianze, my husband. You shoot at him, you chase him, and then when you find he is dead, you apologize. Surely you understand that our aim was not to kill Mr. Capecci, but to arrest him. He was the one who decided to involve firearms. Of course I know you didn't kill him. Terrazza de Idioti. It was those Irish mascalzoni. They would drizzle his blood on their potatoes if they had a chance. Mrs. Capecci, let us not jump to conclusions so quickly. You will have to remain calm while we investigate your husband's murder. I am calm. This is me when I am calm. Alright. Well, we will be back later with more questions once you're even calmer.
On your knees. Nina's remaining. Where is she?
Let's talk. Okay, the paddle right now. Of course, I'm a little bit surprised to hear of Viola having that Madame Zhang's House of Ladies having that allergic reaction to peanuts, but it's not unheard of. Matthew, I stand corrected. I doubt this paddle is used for making pizza after all. The name on this instrument is familiar, but what business would Miss Brazier have so far from Sinner's End? When last we saw Miss Brazier, she had just left the brothel to work at the Moulin Rose Cabaret. I agree, Matthew. Miss Brazier is indeed in Coyote Gorge. We must speak with her.
You know what? Why don't you take a look while Terry back here?
She's not the original difference. It's very low. Dolls and children are his only companions. He needs a friend.
Talk to him right now. Talk to her. Miss Brazier, Senior Trooper Matthew found this paddle. It is yours, is it not? I've been looking all over for that. I need it for my 4:30 this afternoon. Oh, so you really do work here. I did not know you'd stopped working at the Moulin Rose. I had to. When Marla took over the Moulin Rose, she tried to turn us into dancers, but I'm no dancer. Then Vittorio came into the cabaret and offered me an exclusive deal working for his men. It was an offer I couldn't refuse. Now that he's dead, I don't know what will become of me. Ah, well, maybe I could be a horse wrangler. I've always loved riding horses. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm late for an appointment. Thought she'd say with beef jerky, but she did not.
I bet you take really good care of those things. And fix them too.
Slashed painting. It appears someone deliberately damaged this painting, then hidden in that pile of pillows and laundry. The canvas is shredded beyond recognition, clearly in a fit of rage. Oh, good idea. Mr. DeLobo has always had a fondness for the arts. He may be able to help with this painting.
She was a crack whore. Susie was sad all the time. I let her play with my dolls.
Is that why you took her to Harry so she could play with you?
In the center, she loved my dolls, but then she didn't want to play anymore. She
12
just
hours?
wanted
Yep.
to go home.
That must have made you mad.
Alright. I'll get the results tomorrow morning. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Well, I'm currently under unlimited energy happy hour, so let's go ahead and speed up the slash painting. Matthew, have you heard anything about my official application to join the flying squad by any chance? I'm still waiting for an answer. Join the flying squad? Why, I had no notion that you wanted to, but I'm sure Chief Wright will let you know in due time. In the meantime, were you able to repair the painting Matthew found in the hacienda? It wasn't easy, but with a little blank canvas and a lot of paint, I made it as good as new. It's a portrait of Vittorio. As for who slashed it to shreds, using a few tools of the trade, I managed to find some smudged fingerprints on the damaged piece of canvas. Evie was kind enough to help me identify who these fingerprints belong to. She's been a real trooper following her showdown injuries. And I can therefore tell you that the fingerprints on the slash painting belong to Vittorio's own daughter. Giulietta shredded her father's portrait? Matthew, we must speak with her at once.
And if you're interested in the role, maybe you know someone who'd be perfect for the role. We've posted what you need to know on our website.
She's 19.
And filming is set to
Miss Capecci, Senior Trooper Matthew found this portrait of your father in a frightening state. We also found your fingerprints all over it. I did shred the painting. It was a contemptible thing to do, but as much as I loved him, he made me furious. I worked so hard to prove myself in his eyes, and he never gave me any recognition. I knew he could do things differently. There's no need for animosity with the Irish, but he treated me like a little girl, said I knew nothing about real life. I was just a doll in his dollhouse. And so you took your frustration out on his portrait? He trapped me here. I wasn't even allowed to leave for my riding lessons. I was restless. All I could do was sit and eat beef jerky. Eventually, I wasn't even eating it anymore. I was just tearing it into smaller and smaller pieces, growing angrier and angrier. And then I moved on to shredding bigger things. Giulietta was in quite a state. After seeing what her rage can do, it's not so much of a stretch to imagine she turns on Vittorio. I think we've been in the house long enough. We had better leave before Marvin catches us. Let us continue our search in the cactus garden.
And while he's interested in flying, Parker says he hopes to become a doctor one day. And then he'll be able to fly as a hobby.
Good for him. Justin Cruz coming back after the break with more on our weather forecast.
As we look ahead towards the weekend, will it be rain?
This portion of the K212 News is sponsored by Hawaii State.
Okay, I have the mountain goat enabled.
Everything is possible. Side by side, doing what's right. We didn't build this place. You did. We give it strength. You do. Every step and every milestone, you are there. Every goal and every achievement, you make it possible, as it should be.
All right.
That cares for its own. Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. Always right by you.
Aloha Island Mart. Choices. Or what you want. This one's specials. Rockstar Energy Drinks. 16 ounce. 2 for $3.
There we go.
You can win all this cool Rockstar Energy gear. Aloha Island Mart. Choices.
Another 100,000.
16th anniversary of Europlex with discounts, incentives, and anniversary savings for you. Get anniversary pricing on every new Honda and every used
Very good.
It's Macy's One Day Sale Saturday.
I'm not sure why you picked up this broken cactus, Matthew. The garden is filled with them. Oh, but of course, we know Vittorio was killed with the cactus, and this is the only one that's damaged. We need to piece it back together straight away. And I'm sure you'll make a quick job of the lock on that briefcase.
Flavors of festival time in the Philippines. It's mixed flake mabuhay.
Oh, I'll do everything right now.
Immerse yourself in the Philippines. Mixed Plate Mabuhay, Wednesday, June 21st at 9:30 p.m. on KHON2. Brought to you by these fine sponsors.
There we go. Matthew, there is still a piece missing from this cactus. This could be the rest of our murder weapon. There is also a curious stain all over it. Let's send the cactus to Viola for examination straight away.
Leeward sunshine, even windward spots. We don't anticipate any heavy rain. We should be done with that. But the afternoons could see some.
And this is also 12 hours.
Light to moderate showers, but overall we don't expect.
And now the locked briefcase.
77 in Honolulu, 78 Lihue, as well as Kahului, and 76 in Hilo. And that storm that was triggering all those spotty heavy rains for the past day and a half, starting to move away. It's still kind of circulating, but as it moves farther out west, it will no longer have an influence on our weather. High pressure really takes control, and we're pushing a few light trade showers. But as you can see right now, there's really not much moving through. We have a dry air mass, or a drier than normal air mass, and the only place we're seeing thunderstorms to the south of Hawaii. That should remain offshore. Shouldn't be an issue, but definitely a lot drier right now compared to even 24 hours ago.
Matthew, there is only a single note inside the briefcase. The note reads, Vittorio, you can't treat La Familia this way. This has to stop. There is no signature, but there is a wax seal on it. I agree. With a little research, I'm sure you can discover this note's author.
Surf along the South Shores will be 2 to 4 tomorrow. This weekend, a couple things happening along the surf. South Shores could be near or at advisory levels on Saturday, then another even larger swell arrives and peaks Monday and Tuesday. So we have 7 days of large South Shore surf. With that,
there we go.
Possibility through at least Monday. So tomorrow, partly sunny skies again with light showers in the afternoon if we're lucky. We don't expect much at all. But
perfect.
not the heavy rain and thunderstorms.
Michael Ferrari's family seal. Matthew, our records show that this wax seal on the note you found is the Ferrari family crest. So Marvin was the one displeased with the way Vittorio was treating his familia. It's true that Marvin had said they were like brothers. We have already seen the way a man like Marvin deals with disappointment. We must talk to him again. What did I tell you about snooping around here? This time you buzzards buzz off. Not before you told us what your dispute with Vittorio was about. Oh, you found that, did you? Look, it's true he was friends since being kids, but Didi was always bossing. He liked thinking of himself as the kingpin. Then why did you accept to work for him? I thought he was offering me a partnership. We used to ride our horses into the desert to talk business, share a bag of beef jerky. But as time went on, he treated me like any other nobody thug working for him. And when was it that you finally snapped? I was thinking of leaving, not killing him. We was blood. You can fight with blood and you can stop talking to blood, but you don't kill blood. Okay. I'll see you guys when the cactus is done. After I get all 5 stars, maybe I'll speed this up, but we'll see. See y'all then. Alright folks, we've come back. I'm still under unlimited energy happy hour, so bingo, I'm going to speed this up. 308. Matthew, what would you say if I told you that I have a single concoction that will cure all your aches and pains? How about if I add that, it cures baldness, blindness, and gout? I would say you've been spending too much time around Richard. And then I would ask what this has to do with the murder of Vittorio Capesci. Patience. First of all, the broken off part of this cactus perfectly fits the broken edge of the murder weapon. But I also found snake oil soaked into the skin of the cactus. That's what inspired my little speech when you came in. Snake oil? What the devil would one use that for? It cures arthritis and bursitis. Or at least the original Chinese mixtures containing actual snake oils did. But now the term snake oil generally refers to supposed cure-all concoctions that in fact cure nothing. As the daughter of legitimate apothecaries, this pseudo-medicine offends me. Your killer was probably fooled by a sales pitch similar to the one I gave you. It's the sort of dubious list of swindling snake oil salesmen might deliver while hawking their wares. So our killer uses snake oil? Well, I guess you can add murderous tendencies to the list of ailments of which it has no effect.
Great team. I'm going to do some toothpaste. I may have misjudged you a little.
I might have misjudged you too.
My favorite wedding. Premiere Saturday, June 24th at 9.
Matthew, for as many enemies as Vittorio must have had, our suspects ironically tend to be mostly familial connections.
I'm an elderly man who just took out cash from an ATM at the Pearl City again. And caught on camera. A man is physically attacked and robbed, making withdrawal.
The violence Giulietta bestowed upon her father's portrait certainly gives pause. Her mother is equally passionate. Explosive bouts seem to run in the family. As for that Marvin, do you believe his declaration against killing blood, especially considering how hurt he was by Vittorio and how quick he was to threaten us? Hey, Senior Trooper Matthew, I know you're in the habit of collecting garbage around here. I just caught this piece of trash trying to weasel its way into the house. You got a trash can to put him in, or do you want me to toss him out myself? Holy God. And we'll see you guys for Chapter 3. See y'all there. Okay, folks, we come back. Let's start Chapter 3 of How the East Was Won.
And then tried to get the victim to shore. A dolphin tour operator preparing to head out of the harbor with a boatload of customers heard a distress call and sprang into action.
There was a male that was in the water, and then there was a female that was on boat that was kind of panicking.
Samus? Thank you, Mr. Ferrari. We can handle it from here. As for you, Senior Trooper Matthew, my patience is getting thin. It will take as long as it takes. Samus, you put yourself in a dangerous position being here. An explanation is in order.
Another tour group on shore say they knew something was wrong when they saw the two boats hang back to the docks.
So, Samus, why did you come back here knowing full well the danger you were putting yourself in? Why do you think? I wanted to see Giulietta, of course. I hate thinking about her going through this alone. Really? Do you know she hasn't mentioned your name a single time since we've been here? Well, obviously she's distraught. Or maybe you've been lying all along about your love for her. Maybe it was all a ploy to get to the leader of a rival gang and kill him. And maybe you came back to the hacienda to finish the job and kill Vittorio's family. You're out of your mind. I came to Coyote Gorge with only a horse, a pack of beef jerky, and the love I have for Giulietta. I have nothing to do with the gangs anymore. Giulietta is all I have. This wall between us is torture. I drown my sorrows in snake oil, and it only makes me feel worse. If this is true, you'll stay away from this place. As for us, Matthew, we had better take another look inside before Marvin decides to kick us out next.
When you drift away, if you don't have a dive flag, you're not out there with your boat. And with many boats that come in and out of the harbor, it makes it extremely dangerous. So it was just an unfortunate event.
Catherine Cruz, KITV on the news.
And as you can see, I'm still under unlimited energy happy hour for the next 10 minutes or so.
Last December, a diver died after being run over by a boat in Panama Bay.
Yep, just under 10 minutes.
59-year-old Sri Shin died of blunt force trauma and boat propeller injuries. In October of 2009, diver Keahi Hoki Lam
was run over and killed by a boat in Honolulu Bay. State law requires boats to keep 100 feet away from dive markers and to slow down to no wake speeds within 200 feet. Caught on camera. A man attacked and robbed taking money out of an ATM in Pearl City back on June 2nd around 6:45 in the morning. Anyone with information on the suspect's identity has to call
cabinet. Got it.
Two robbers beat up a Hali'i man in his house guest and stole $20,000. Maui News reports the
Got the first star.
Victim says it happened Sunday while he was sitting in his living room with a friend when two men wearing black leather pants, gloves, jackets, and motorcycle helmets.
This note reads, every morning he goes to church unarmed. This must have been about Vittorio. So someone was reporting on his every move, and I agree. The focus on his being unarmed seems to point at a possible attack. Which begs the question, who was planning to betray him? Maybe that purple substance on the note will provide us with an answer. And I'm sure you'll make short work of the lock on this cabinet, Matthew. Let's get to it.
We have seen some scattered clouds around the islands, including high clouds over the Big
Took care of everything.
And there you can see one patch of white, a thunderstorm off to the southwest of the islands, along with scattered low clouds over western islands. We continue to have some instability over the state. This swirl right here in this water vapor loop shows us where that area of low pressure is.
Okay. It's 8 energy. Excellent, Matthew. This sample you took from the note should be enough for Viola to tell us it was taking notes on Vittorio's every move.
That's the thunderstorm I was talking about off to the southwest of Oahu. So still some flashes of light from that thunderstorm and some unsettled weather can still pop up for the next few hours. As this continues moving to the west,
oh, this is the 9-hour one.
Low pressure weakens, we should see much calmer conditions as we've talked about for tomorrow. Let's head up to Hawaii and give you an idea of what we can expect. Light trade showers for windward areas for Lihue and other windward spots around the state.
Oh no, the tedious one.
Winds dropping down to 10 to 15 miles an hour. And some afternoon sea breezes, which means leeward areas could also see some
44541.
showers. Back to you.
Hawaii's unemployment rate has not changed over the last 3 months. Department of Labor and Industrial
14158. Well, there goes one.
The rate for the month of May was 2.7%, same as March. In April, national unemployment rate 4.3%. Labor Department says statewide more than 19,000 people were unemployed in the month of May. Dinosaur saga continues on Oahu.
Matthew, this cabinet only contains a single piece of paper. Look, this is a divorce petition signed by Franca. There is still a blank space where Vittorio didn't sign. You're right, Matthew, we should talk to Franca. I just hope she has calmed down since we first spoke.
Fronting the Hei'eia small boat harbor will be closed next Wednesday and Thursday for the filming of, as you said, the new Jurassic World movie.
Mrs. Capesci, you hadn't told us you wanted to divorce your husband. Ha, that? I will tell you a little story. One night at dinner, Vittorio cries in his linguine. I ask him what is the matter, and he tells me he is scared. Scared of what, I ask him. Scared of dying, Lamort. He tells me, Lamort, can you imagine? He was weak. Mio Marito would not drink the snake oil I buy to make him strong, so I drink it myself. I give some snake oil to Giulietta also, because she is like her papa sometimes. The bottom line, I cannot stay with a weak man. That uomo debole would have left the Capesci Empire to fall apart. So I asked for a divorce, but he was too stubborn to even do that. Let us just hope, Mrs. Capesci, that despite your frustration, you didn't opt for the common alternative to divorce.
Drivers should prepare for stop-and-go traffic along Kamehameha Highway. Barriers are
and that's going to do 9 hours. I'll get the results. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright, folks, we have returned. Let's go ahead and get the results of the purple substance from Viola. Matthew, the sample you collected from that note was quite unusual. What is it? Well, that purple substance is actually a lotion with aphrodisiacal properties. They help people feel more inclined to... I'm sure Matthew knows what aphrodisiacal means. Thank you, Viola. And you're right, we know exactly who might be in need of such products. The note must have been written by Adriana. But for whom was Adriana taking notes on Vittorio? Matthew, let's go have another talk with her. Miss Brazier, we found your note. Who are you keeping updated on Vittorio's every move and why? Oh no, where did you find this? Marvin will kill me if he sees it. My loyalty has always been to the Irish, and the gang needs all the help it can get these days. So when Vittorio offered to hire me, I saw an opportunity to do some spying. And did your loyalty extend to killing Vittorio on their behalf? I make love, not war, but when the jerk started paying me in snake oil and beef jerky, I knew I had made the right decision to be a spy. At least the Irish pay me in money. But it doesn't matter anyway. I was never able to send the note to anyone in the gang. Miss Brazier, if we find you are lying to us, you'll go where beef jerky is considered a luxury item. Well, she's in the running now. Well, Matthew, it is abundantly clear that the women in Vittorio's life, family and otherwise, were less than pleased by his conduct. But we're still lacking that final piece of evidence pointing to Vittorio's killer. Excellent point, Matthew. We must make another sweep of the crime scene before the trail goes cold. Trying to use my cash a little more wisely. Chest. There we are. As you predicted, Matthew, it appears there was more to find here. The cactus needles all over this glove imply it was worn by our killer to protect their hand from the murder weapon. I agree, we ought to gather a sample from it. And I might not have looked twice at that chest of chapel accessories, but your intuition never fails. We must search it quickly. Time is of the essence. Let us get these cactus needles you've collected from the killer's glove to Viola for testing. 15 hours. A tie. Necktie. Matthew, why does the tie you found in that chest look so familiar? Oh, but you're right. It's the same tie Vittorio always wore. There's even his emblem on the pin. There's not a second to lose. Let's send this tie to the lab for further testing. 9 hours, I bet. Yep. And we will see you guys when these two are finished. See y'all then.
T2 is
Alright folks, we have returned. Let's get the results of the cactus needles. And let's put a killer behind bars. Viola, were you able to learn anything new from the cactus needles Matthew found on the killer's glove? Well, among the needles are bits of brown fuzz. Under the microscope, I saw they were actually bird feather barbs. You mean to tell us you found a barb in a needle stack? As a matter of fact, I did. It seems your killer had a feather on them somewhere, and the cactus needles brushed against it, scraping off some of the barbs. Matthew, we're another step closer to discovering the identity of our fine feathered foe.
Currently on sale at AutoZone stores everywhere.
Matthew, I think you'll appreciate what I found on Vittorio's necktie. The tip of the tie, where someone might have grabbed it, was stained with a mixture of aloe vera, vitamin E, and apple cider vinegar, all of which are extremely effective at healing sunburn. Richard confirmed that Vittorio would have had no use for such a treatment. His skin was clearly accustomed to the desert sun. Therefore, the sunburn treatment on the tie came from your killer. Thank you, Viola. This is most helpful. Matthew, keep your eyes peeled for a killer who's been touched by the sun. Thought that might be a clue. Matthew, we may never be able to put Vittorio behind bars, but we are seconds away from taking his killer to jail.
Okay, I picked out my dream car. Now's the really fun.
It's definitely not Giulietta Capesci.
The wheels, the interior, everything exactly how I want it. Here's the thing. Just because I configured this car online doesn't mean it really exists.
It's not Marvin Ferrari.
I got real pricing on actual cars in my area. I see what others paid for them, and they show me the ones that match the car I want. So I know I can go to a
It looks like it might be Seamus O'Neill.
Today, right now. This is your car.
Yes, it is. Seamus O'Neill, you are under arrest for the murder of Vittorio Capesci. What? Senior Trooper Matthew, do you realize what kind of trouble I'd be in if I were to kill Mr. Capesci? We do. The same kind of trouble you're in now. We found your riding glove at the crime scene, still stuck full of needles from when you shoved a cactus into Vittorio's mouth. Why would I even do this? I'm not in the gang anymore, I told you. I don't know, but we also found the burlap sheet you used to drag Vittorio's body from the garden into the chapel. Was this prompted by remorse?
Welcome back to High Point. Now the first 250 moto, Zach Osborne taking the win. It seems like the first half of the moto you were just following Jeremy.
Why would I feel remorseful for something I didn't do? But you did do it. First you tried to drag him by his tie before using the sheet. You left your sunburn cream on the cloth.
Halfway in and felt really, really good on the bike and just had good rhythm and all the runs and stuff, and it felt great out there. I have to give it up to the Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me safe. Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna Factory Racing.
It were a mistake. It were all a terrible mistake. I came for Giulietta. I was going to take her to City Hall to elope. To the City Hall to elope. We could finally be free from the prejudices around us. And you thought murdering her father would make the elopement easier? No, he weren't supposed to be there. When I heard Vittorio and his men were in town, I decided it was time to go find Giulietta. But by the time I reached the garden, there he was, and he had fire coming out of his eyes. I couldn't quell Vittorio's anger. He wouldn't hear anything. He threw me to the ground and leaped atop me. I had no choice but to defend myself. I saw the cactus, broke a piece off, and shoved it in his mouth. I was terrified for my life. When I realized he was dead, I was horrified. I thought of Giulietta finding him there or seeing him out of her window, so I dragged his body to the chapel. Giulietta will never forgive me. I'm afraid the question of mercy is up to the judge. Seamus O'Neill, you are under arrest. Seamus O'Neill, you stand before this court accused of the murder of Vittorio Capesci, how do you plead? I plead guilty, Your Honor, but it were in self-defense. Mr. O'Neill, matters of the heart are never easy. They're made even worse when they include long-standing prejudices and feuds. But regardless of the circumstances and Vittorio Capesci's own dishonorable doings, murder is a crime that cannot go unpunished. We have heard your testimony. In light of the circumstances, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years in prison for manslaughter. So be it. I've murdered the father of me only love. Prison is nothing compared to the torment in me heart. Matthew, it is absolutely tragic that Samus and Gioletta's love story should end this way. Much of the most beautiful theater concerns stories of such star-crossed lovers. Theirs is a timeless tragedy. Let's not exaggerate. 10 years is anything but timeless, and that ruffian is getting exactly what he deserved after all the trouble he got up to. If it were to kill every person we deem unlawful, the streets of Concordia would soon be empty. But all's well that ends well, Matthew. Now if you'll excuse me, I've been invited to the mayor's to celebrate this auspicious turn of events.
There's the upcoming schedule in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. We're going to Muddy Creek next weekend in Tennessee. Then Redbud for the annual July 4th weekend spectacular just over the Indiana state line in Michigan and Southwick in Massachusetts. Let's go back to Georgia.
Take a look at the other ones. Franca Capesci clear from the start. Adriana Brazier, no feathers. Gioletta Capesci, no sunburn. Marvin Ferrari cleared after clue 2. It was Samus O'Neill. I will see you guys for the last Once Upon a Time in the East 6-6. Alright, I have come back now. It is time for Once Upon a Time in the East 6-6. Well, Matthew, Vittorio may be dead, but there is still the problem of his gang evicting the residents of Coyote Gorge. You're right, we need to return to the Hacienda where we're sure to find evidence of his dealings. Let's just be wary of Vittorio's guard dog. Senior Trooper Matthew, I got word from the prison that Samus wants to talk to you. He apparently kept everyone in the prison awake all night with his sobbing. He is going out to wait, Constable Ramirez. Matthew and I have no time to spare. Don't be such a sourpuss, Bontemps. Matthew, I'll be happy to talk to Samus with you. As you wish, Madeline. But for now, Matthew, we mustn't dally. To the Capesci Hacienda.
Good job, I'll let you get ready. Thank you, Adam. And here's your Lucas Oil race recap. It's 250s. More great starts. So Jeremy Martin, he's gotten a couple hole shots this year. He's got another on the Geico Honda. Osborne and Plessinger were battling right with him off the start. And then Plessinger able to get Osborne. Then Osborne able to get back by.
Yeah, scrubs that jump, gets the inside. Key is to keep the old rhythm through by doubling through. And, well, it became his favorite spot later in the race. But watch out, once again, Jeremy does not double all the way through there. And Osborne gets the inside. And that would be the loss that we see from the number 16.
Yeah, set sail from their third motor win of the season.
There we go.
Husqvarna rider, originally out of Virginia. Continues to roll as the points leader. We'll see though. Remember, Jeremy Martin mentioned the hard pump.
Matthew, we are experiencing a drought of clues. Oh, there are indeed markings on the base of this bust. Quite strange. We must recover them.
These fans are looking forward to. We'll be back in a half hour on NBC and the NBC Sports Gold after Brett Langston and Georgia Lindsay updates. Go again. Catch you for a half hour on NBC.
Beta Motorcycles, where performance and reliability meets rideability. Beta makes a complete line of superior high-performance motorcycles, any rider and any discipline.
Mark 929. Matthew, the texture recovered on the bus reads Mark 929. This sounds vaguely biblical, but as to what it means, I hope Evie will have recovered enough to help us figure this out. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, I know I've done a terrible thing, but it was in self-defense and in the name of love. I don't expect Giulietta to ever forgive me, nor will I ever forgive myself. But I must speak with her. Is that why you brought us here? Is that why you brought us here? Samus, you killed her father. I doubt there is anything we can do for you. Oh, if only she had been there when I approached the hacienda instead of her father. Please, please speak to her for me. Please ask her to come. Very well. We will go to the hacienda to try to speak with her. But we can't promise she will come. Oh. But I already got myself, look at this. I got help with the mountain goat. Oh no, Matthew, a discarded suitcase is never a good sign. It's possible the Capeshis have made a hasty retreat. Good idea, see if you can find anything inside to tell us what happened or where they went. Torn letter. Excellent question, Matthew. Why would anyone pack a torn letter? Let us piece it back together and see what it tells us. Oh no, Matthew! The letter says, Samus, what you have done is unforgivable. My mother and I are leaving Coyote Gorge. She says she will turn the river crimson with Irish blood. Giulietta. Rivers of blood? This doesn't sound good at all. I agree. Samus will have to wait. We need to figure out where Franca is going, and fast. That's a great idea, Matthew. Maybe Vittorio's security guard is still here. Let's see if we can find him. Senior Trooper Matthew, you're like sand in my boots. Every time I dump you out, the wind blows and there you are again, scratching my feet and putting holes in my socks. Mr. Ferrari, we are looking for Mrs. Capesci and her daughter. We need to speak with them. Can't. Gone. Packed up and left. We must know where they went. This is urgent police business. I'm telling you the truth when I say I don't know. In a few days I'll be out of here myself, starting a new life. But a word of warning for the MiGs in this town. Once Franca gets through with the Irish, the river will have so many bodies between its banks, you'll be able to walk across. Arrivederci, Senior Trooper Matthew. Take this. Where I'm going, I won't be needing it. Well, he was unpleasant and unhelpful. Good point, Matthew. Giulietta's letter mentioned a river, and Marvin mentioned the riverbanks. This cannot be a coincidence. But of course, turning the river crimson, Franco was talking about Crimson Banks, one of the city's commercial centers. So far, the Irish and the Italians have coexisted peacefully in Crimson Banks. If Franco takes the fight there, it's going to get out of hand fast. We need to inform Chief Wright about this. However, first I ought to go tell Samus that Gioletta's gone, Matthew. I'll meet you back at the airship as soon as possible. Oh, I'll let the ridings run its course. See y'all then.
Resources. Participants got one-on-one sessions.
Okay, folks, we've come back. Let's get the results of the writings.
Crop choice, production methods,
Evie, it's nice to see you already back on the job.
Some of the risks.
Oh, I just couldn't sit and twiddle my thumbs. And since Catherine is back at work, I thought it was best I keep busy too.
Sometimes disease or insects.
Ah, yes. I heard the two of you had gotten closer.
Such as pigs and things like
anyway, were you able to find out what the text on the bus means?
Basically, farming is risky
of course.
To begin with, regardless
Mark
of where
chapter 9 verse 29 is a Bible verse that reads, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." Matthew, why would anyone write this on a bus? Is it some kind of code? Indeed, Matthew. Miss Brazier was spying on Vittorio's for the Irish. Perhaps she can point to where this clue connects. We must speak with her at once.
And an iconic hotel in the Big Island closed while county inspectors told the Eleanor to shut it down.
You're lucky to have caught me, Matthew. I'll be leaving Coyote Gorge soon. We'll be brief. You wouldn't, by any chance, know what Mark 9:29 refers to, would you? That sounds biblical. Is it from Sodom and Gomorrah? No, we found it engraved on a bust, and we were wondering what... Wait, on a bust, you say? Golly, you found it? Golly, you found it. Found what? The code to Vittorio's safe. I've been looking for it for weeks. I knew he kept it somewhere in the house.
Men's Warehouse helps you celebrate the special men.
Vittorio's safe? Where is that safe? Do you know? It's hidden in the chapel. Vittorio would always go there to ask God for advice, but he wasn't fooling anyone. Thank you, Miss Brazier. Matthew, there's not a second to lose. Let's go to the chapel and get that safe. You never catch your breath, do you, Senior Trooper Matthew? You should eat a little something before you go on. My treat. All right.
Lives in moments like these. Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaii flies with us.
KOTV4 and Helping Hands Hawaii believes that all children in Hawaii deserve the same chance at a good education.
Many Hawaii families cannot afford basic school supplies, but you can help.
I think I see that safe.
Basic tools they need to help them learn.
Come and join us at the 21st Annual School Tools Drive.
Saturday, June 24th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Locked box.
Please make the donation or drop off school supplies.
Join us and make a difference.
Because our keiki are the future of Hawaii.
All right. Matthew, hopefully we'll find proof of Vittorio's unlawful land seizing in this safe. Let's try to open it with the code you found.
Selection of flooring, a luxurious look for the everyday homeowner, and with an unbeatable pricing. Visit Wisteria Lane today.
Time and temperature from AC Warehouse. Time to get cool with a Mitsubishi AC.
Let's see what that code is.
Thousands came to Alamo Beach Park for the Hokulea's homecoming, which meant the beach itself was empty for Saturday.
KITV's Jordan Segundo shows us how
Mark 9:29.
the ceremony with parking restrictions
Of course.
and traffic blocks.
Why didn't I see it before?
Their site at Alamoana Beach Park.
Miss Brazier was right. Mark 929 was the code to Vittorio's safe. The papers within appear to be deeds of sale between Coyote Gorge residents and Vittorio. This is exactly what we needed. It's pretty clear those deeds aren't legal, but we still need proof. Good thinking, Matthew. Diego should be able to spot any forgery.
And restricted parking meant you had to find another way to get there.
Yeah, I'll save gas and down the street, no traffic. Yeah, no traffic down there.
Marco De Jesus and his family drove in from Eva Beach, parked a few blocks
And I'll
away
see
in
you guys.
Acapulco, then rode in
Pretty sure
on
this.
wheels.
Oh, it's 6 hours.
For those
Okay.
who chose to go green, a bike valet was offered,
See you guys then.
giving riders.
Okay, folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the safe box. Matthew, you were right. Those land deeds were fake. Every last one of them. Vittorio had a gifted forger in his team, mind you. They almost fooled me, and have likely fooled the railroad company into thinking the lands have been legally acquired. But the ink colors weren't exactly right, and there was no... Yes, very well, Mr. DeLobo. Matthew, we always knew Vittorio was evicting people from their lands, but now we have proof that it was illegal. If we show these deeds to the court, they'll be able to give the people of Coyote Gorge their land back. Let us speak to Judge Lawson at once, Matthew. Senior Trooper Matthew, what a pleasant surprise to see you outside of court proceedings. Actually, Mr. Lawson, Matthew uncovered these deeds of sale at the Capesci Hacienda, and we've identified them as counterfeit. Here we have concrete proof that the Italian gang was unlawfully evicting Coyote Gorge residents to sell their property to the Concordian Railroad Company. I had feared with Mr. Capesci dead, it would be impossible to prove his wrongdoings, but you have once again surprised me, Senior Trooper Matthew. Thank you for your hard work. I shall ensure that each and every person listed in these documents have their property returned to them. I'll also inform the Concordian Railroad Company of the real nature of their dealings with the Italians in Coyote Gorge. I have no doubt they will change the railway's route accordingly. Senior Trooper Matthew, you have done a great service here in Coyote Gorge. Please accept this as a symbol of gratitude on behalf of its citizens. Matthew, have you heard? Your chief approved my motion to join your team. I'm going to be an official flying squad consultant. Diego, that's fantastic news. You deserve it. I'm so proud of you. Yes, welcome to the team, Diego. We need to see the chief about something else, but we can do it later. Let's go get you appointed. Diego DeLobo, you have been indispensably helpful to the Concordian Flying Squad. You rose to the occasion and have strongly supported our mission of justice. Under the condition that you forego your old devious ways, I will take great pleasure in accepting you as a member of the team. Of course, I promise. Thank you so much. This is a great honor. As for you, Matthew, I would like to thank you for restoring justice in Coyote Gorge. I can't tell you how happy I am to be rid of this gang war once and for all. Actually, we found evidence indicating that Franca has run away to Crimson Banks to wreak havoc on the Irish. What? Matthew, Crimson Banks is one of the commercial hubs of the city. We cannot have gangs wreaking havoc there. Untether the airship and set a course for Crimson Banks. There it is. Crimson Banks. And there's another pet store. June 22nd. That's in 4 days. That's on Thursday. again. Looks like we're going back to Thursdays for cases. And I gotta get one more gold medal to see what's in this pet store. Three new ones. Three new ones also. Another 5. And another 5. That will do. And I'll see you guys on June 22nd when the next case comes out. See y'all then.